Hey everyone, it's Teresa with Jeremiah Dreams. Thank you for being here with me tonight. I have a little bit of a second step to what we've been working on. I've been painting some customized ornaments for Christmas for customers, and tonight I'm going to work on personalizing them. That can be a little tricky, so I thought this would be a good time for us to get together and just take a look at how I approach personalization. Let me share my screen real quick and we'll get going. Actually, let me flip this over and we're going to make this a little larger so that you can see exactly what I have here. And I'm going to adjust my camera a little bit just because when I get everything set up in the beginning, it's sometimes a little hard to tell exactly what's going on. I would really like to get this more overhead. If you'll just bear with me a second. I just think it will give a better view of what we're doing. So let's just do this right here. Now, thank you for your patience. All right, looks a little dark, so I'm going to adjust this light a little bit. There we go. Okay, so these are some of the ornaments that I've created. These are my designs. And they are, well, this one has not been purchased yet, so he's available. But these others have all been ordered, and it's time to do some personalization. So I'm going to start with our sweet bird ornament. I'm going to go ahead and I'll tell you what, I'll do it this way. I'll set the bird off. We'll put the rest of these back over here on the desk behind me. And I'm going to show you kind of how I plan to approach personalizing this ornament. I'm going to start with some mixed media paper, and I'm just going to pull a sheet out of there. And set the rest of the book out of the way. And then I'm going to lay my ornament on here. We're going to do a tracing. Now, one of my favorite tools is the friction pen because it's an erasable pen. You can erase with this little eraser at the bottom. It's not a true eraser like what you use on a pencil or what you see on a pencil, but it does erase the ink, or you can activate or use a heat tool and it will make the ink disappear, which is a very cool feature whenever you do things like what I work on. So what I want to do is I'm just going to trace my ornament. I'm hoping I'm pressing down enough because I'm going to kind of practice and get my lettering centered, because that's where I tend to mess up, is on getting everything centered and in good position. So on the back of this ornament, the customer just wants it to say "in loving memory." So I'm just going to sketch this out because my handwriting is not all that good right there. I want to find the center of each of my words. So we have 6 letters here. So the center is going to be right between the V and the I. We have 6 letters here, and it's going to be right between the M and the O. And of course, with just 2, it's going to be with the I and N for our first word. So I am not a great calligrapher. I aspire to be. I want to be. I've been practicing. I continue to practice, but I'm not there yet. So I've decided I'm just going to keep my lettering very simple. The next thing I want to do, where is my ruler? And I just know I have one right here. Yes, I do. I knew I did. I'm going to find the center of my ornament. So these are 3 inches in diameter. So at the 1.5 mark, it's pretty close. So there's my center. Okay. And it's not this one. I'm going to show you right now how this ink erases. Voila. It is gone. Okay. Can you guys see very well? I may need to bring the camera in just a little bit more so that you can see a little bit better what we're doing. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to start with my middle word, which is loving. And I also, real quick, I need to draw some lines. And I think it's always wise to practice first. Okay. And we're going to keep it pretty even. And we're just going to go right there. Okay, this is just practice. Once again, this is just practice because I want to figure out where my lettering is going to sit. So I'm going to start with my I, and I've decided I'm just going to keep my letters simple in the beginning. Kind of like when you were in first grade and you were learning to write. Very block-like. And I want to be mindful of the spacing between the letters. So it's kind of odd, you know, that you could do half of it this way and then you work backwards the other way. And so here's my L. Now, when I get ready to paint this on the ornament, I may be a little more fancy. I may do a few little flourishes that will just give it a little extra beauty. And then we're going to put in memory. Y'all, I apologize for my fur babies. They are acting up. My little schnauzer was groomed today, so he's been gone all day, so he's got to make up for lost time chasing the cats. All right, and we're just going to keep our M pretty simple. And when I get ready to, like I said, again, when I get ready to paint it, it's going to look a little bit better. All right, and then we're just going to have, I've already tried to get him to settle down a little bit, but okay. So there's our block letter. Now, I'm going to come over here to my ornament. And let's just kind of wipe it down. I'm going to get a wet wipe because I've kind of been moving it around a little bit. And it's got a few little flecks of ink and stuff there where I've kind of been transitioning a little bit. So we're just going to kind of wipe it down gently just to clean it and make sure it's ready to go. So I'm just using a wet wipe, and then I'm going to get a paper towel and we'll just dry it off. Just being gentle with it. There we go. All right. So once again, I'm going to use my friction pen just in case I find that I've made a mistake. I have a way out in order by using this friction pen. So I'm going to really have to eye it at this point and keep in mind where all my centers are. So I'm not even using a lot of pressure. I'm just going to be very gentle about, well, if I can get the ink to flow. It doesn't really want to flow well on this slick surface, but maybe I can get. And this is what I'm going to be using to paint. We're going to paint these letters. Okay. Then I'm going to just put my L. And one thing I do like to do with an L is I like to bring it on through. I do feel like that's a little far away. Instead of using the heat tool, I'm just going to go ahead and use this wet wipe. And I'm going to move that part over. Get it a little closer. Okay. Now we're going to put in our next word. Get our ink to flow. Right now for the Y, I'm just going to leave it as a V because I may want to do something pretty with the tail. And then I need my E. And so it kind of feels like because we have that capital letter that we've got to deal with. So I'm not happy with how this layout is going. So I'm going to erase this with my baby wipe. We're going to take a different approach. Get this dry. There we go. So I'm going to start with the M. I'm going to put a little tail on that one too. And I want to keep these letters very similar to the size of the other word. And again, for the Y, I'm just going to keep it as a V. And let's go ahead and do our top word. So I'm doing it very block, very simple, just because I feel like simple is best for now. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I've got, if I can find it real quick, I have a long bristle brush. There are some that you can get that are even longer, and I thought I had one, but I don't see it right off the bat. These are really good for lettering because of the long bristles. I'm just going to get it wet and just kind of get those hairs to kind of, I do have a different brush, y'all. This is not the one I really want to use. Bear with me just a second. I had it not too long ago, and apparently I've put it in a different little slot. Don't you hate it when that happens? Oh, I think I just found it. It's not a lot longer. In fact, it's shorter. We'll just go ahead. Oh, I know what I could do. I'm going to use my detail brush, and then we'll come back and use that one. The longer bristles or hairs in that brush are good because that kind of allows you to swoop a little bit more. My paint has been sitting here for a little bit, so it's gotten a little dry. So I'm just adding a little water to reactivate it. And we're going to use a detail brush to do our initial lettering. Now, y'all, I just want you to know I'm not an expert at this. I am still learning. I'm still practicing. But I really want to one day be a really good letterer, or however you want to say that. Okay. I'm just going to keep it simple. Now, one thing, when you letter, downstrokes are wider and upstrokes are thinner. So we're going to kind of block that in a little bit. And whenever you're lettering, you're supposed to not think about it as writing, but think about it as drawing. And that may be some of where I'm struggling with my lettering. It just takes practice, which is hard to find time to do. And you know, that's the nice thing about if you get into a group or a class that does painting, is it makes you dedicate time for learning and practicing. So again, my marks that I've written down as a guide, they're going to disappear when I dry this after I've got the initial letters locked in. Can't seem to get quite enough paint. So if you're unsure about your lettering abilities, I would just really encourage you to keep it simple until you're ready to take it to the next level. Something like that. Doesn't look too bad, does it? Okay, let's try this because we're going to need to put another coat. And watch how my preliminary ink will disappear. So I don't have to worry about if I've made mistakes. Okay. Let's add another coat. And I can even turn it around at this point. Now, one other thing that I'm going to do is after I get all of this in, I'm going to spray this really well and seal it so that it will protect the paint. Okay. I want to kind of straighten this one up right here a little bit. And then as we get toward the tip, I'm raising my brush a little bit so that the bristles will not spread but kind of come back to a point. We're going to come back and we're going to thicken up our downstrokes after I get this other little coat on here. I've tried using a paint pen before, but I find that I prefer using a paint and a brush when it comes to these. It seems like when I've tried a paint pen, it leaves drag marks, and that makes it really, really hard. Doesn't look good. Almost done, folks. Okay, let's go back and fix some of our downstrokes. I'm going to turn this around a little bit so so I can get a straighter line. Here we go. It's looking good, folks. We are getting there. One of the things you can do too to help you with making your downstrokes thicker is to put a second line. I'm going to straighten this up right here. Right beside where you are wanting to paint, and that gives you a good guide for that thickness. Almost there. So I would really encourage you to get, this is multimedia papers, what I use to practice on, kind of get my idea of how everything's going to be blocked out and positioned. And do your trial and errors there. And then you're ready to go on your surface. So I've just done something very simple. Someday I'll get fancy, but for now, I feel more confident in just keeping it simple, and there's not one thing wrong with that. So I'm just going back and touching up where it seemed like it just needed a little more paint. We'll let this dry well tonight, and tomorrow I'm going to seal it. I'm just kind of blocking up some of these corners. There we go. Very simple. And I do see a few little places down through here that need a little bit of touching up. Just to give it a nice little polish. I do feel like this needs a little bit more of a point. Here we go. I like that better. There we go. Very, very simple. All right. So that's what we're doing tonight. So you guys, thank you so much for being with me. I hope that this was helpful to you, that you learned a few things. If you're interested in the friction pen, I have that link in my description, my affiliate link, and I highly recommend it. I just cannot do it without my friction pen. All right, folks, thank you so much for being with me, and I look forward to being with you again very soon. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.